Yes. Hold on. Mm-mm-mm-mm. No, that's not what I want to do. There we go. Look at that. Technology is great when it works. How are you?
Do you see me, hear me?
Yes. Can you see and hear me?
Yeah, I'm trying to share video. I don't know how this thing works. Let's see.
Well, we see you just fine. You
Oh,
are, yeah,
I'm here. I don't
yeah,
see
you're
you.
here. You don't?
Not on my screen, but hello, everybody.
Hey, Dr. Mike, how are you? Thank you so much
Good.
for joining us.
Yeah, I'm really glad to be here with you.
Yeah, this is great. Well, cool. This is it's been a long time since I've done this, so I'm really excited I get to do this with you. Um, I was thinking back to when we first met. I think it was 2021 um, with Sabo Foundation and the Mission Within, and you were the lead facilitator. And I think about a year later, we met again with Sabo Foundation. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Sabo Foundation. They have been instrumental in us working together, being together. And if you don't know who Sabo Foundation is, they are a veteran-led nonprofit. They're dedicated to helping support combat veterans deal with their transition to civilian life, suicide prevention, healing, trauma, TBI, PTSD, housing support. They have so many amazing programs. Go check them out, sabofoundation.org. Thank you so much for sponsoring this. Excited to have them on board. But yeah, I just wanted to take care of that real quick. Yeah. Sweet. Well, cool. I wanted to see if you could start us off with a quick bio so everybody who's logged on can know a little bit about you and what you do and why you're so awesome.
Well, I don't know about that last part, but I'll get there. So my name is Dr. Mike Sapiro. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a police and first responder psychologist. I'm embedded in the Boise Police Department, so I'm really on the front edge. I go on calls. I work on the crisis hostage negotiation team. So when SWAT team gets called out, I go out with them and help with the negotiations. I also ride along with fire, go into calls, and then help process what they see in the field. I'm a psychedelic psychotherapist, so I am doing deep psychological work, deep Buddhist psychology while people are on medicine. That's a little different than when I'm running retreats because I don't do the therapy, the psychotherapy, while our retreatants are in medicine. We're just letting the medicine and them work. But my normal job at the ketamine clinic is to be with people while they're on ketamine, diving deep into their psyches, into the places that need healing, as well as working with the material of the universe and cosmos. And honestly, for first responders and veterans, probably one of the most important medicines is learning to surrender. So I hope we get to talk about what letting go and surrendering looks like for healing and thriving. And there's so many other things I do. I'm an ordained Buddhist monk, teach meditation, have lived in a cave, lived in temples. So my work is really integrating psychology, spirituality, psychedelics, and consciousness science.
Amazing. What a amazing set of experience, such a breadth of work that you bring to every retreat that we've worked together. Just very, very in depth. So excited to have you on, excited to have this conversation with you. I also wanted to congratulate you on your book.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, right, the book. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, where I am with my healing journey, the book is just really resonating and aligning with where I'm at and how I'm feeling about my progress, and it's helped me already so much. So I know it's going to help if it not hasn't already helped a bunch of people. And so for the plan, what I was thinking, the vision for this conversation, I was going to pull some core themes from your book that I think would resonate with the audience. And to get some engagement or interaction, I'm going to prompt the comment section with a question, and then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions related to that theme. How does that sound?
That's great. I'm going to follow your lead.
Awesome.
Again, I mean, I would love to talk about our retreats too, so people listening can really know the depth of what we're doing. And I know
Yeah.
one person was at our retreats watching live.
Yeah.
Uh, it's, and if the audience has a chance to ask questions too about
Yeah.
it, but talking about retreats would be great too.
Yeah. Awesome. Sweet. Okay. So I'm going to pull up the first prompt, or actually, let me talk about the theme. So authenticity versus personas. This really resonated with me. You talk about it in your book as patchwork personas or masks. And I think a lot of people in the audience can relate to that, wearing different masks throughout their life, whether it's survival, wanting to feel loved, wanting to be liked, adapting to your team, whatnot. And so the prompt I have for the group is, what part of you has felt like it had to perform just to be accepted? Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I can't. Well, apparently I can't put the questions on for whatever reason.
Oh,
Yeah. If I,
what's
Mhm.
the question? How is, what's the question? I'll
Well,
try
this
to.
question is for the audience, but
Yeah,
I have different questions for you. The question for them is, what part of you has felt like it had to perform just to be accepted?
right. Yeah.
So if you are in the chat, if you feel comfortable answering, feel free to drop your answer in the comments, and we'll chat about that later. But for you, Dr. Mike, I'd love to know, what are the most common masks that you see in people during your work, and why?
So I've been doing this work for many, many years, and there's constant themes coming up. Most people come in saying, I don't feel like I'm living my own life. Or what I would say, the way I phrase it is, there's a misalignment between what I'm doing, saying, behaving, what I'm doing in the world, and who I really am. And a lot of people don't even know who they really are because we've been living up to expectations and demands and conditions that other people have put onto us. I'm talking across the board. There's no one really here listening that hasn't been programmed or conditioned, myself included, by our parents, our culture, teachers. And so we live up to those demands and expectations and rules that actually might not be true for who we are, our deeper inner self. And so when we develop a persona, or wearing a mask, that persona often acts in ways that aren't in alignment with who we are. And then we feel depressed. We're very anxious because we're trying to live up to something we can't live up to. It's not reasonable, but we're trying to anyway. Or it's very depressing, literally depressing our soul's originality or our psyche's uniqueness that is just who we are. We're depressing that because we want acceptance from others, or we're afraid that we'll be rejected. So we live up to things that are not true for us. And so part of this process is, one, discovering those conditions, and two, slowing down and listening to our own heart's truth. And then three, living that, embodying that.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I think what I've learned recently, or like what I'm starting to understand, is what I'm compromising when I'm not showing up authentically, when I'm not showing up as myself, what I'm giving up, and how I'm actually really feeling deep down inside, and not being able to speak that truth. So now I feel a lot more comfortable showing up authentically, and I think a lot of people can see the value in that once they learn how to do that.
Can I ask you some questions, Sam?
Oh yeah, of course.
What were some of the costs for you not living authentically, for you playing roles, putting on masks?
I would say I felt like I was playing small. I felt like I was never able to feel truly loved, truly accepted, because I felt like I had to present myself in a certain way to feel that love, to be wanted, and also I've learned that a lot of that's out of fear, right?
Yes.
Fear of being abandoned or alone, not being accepted. Yeah, I wanting to be in control, and like that drive for being in control is really from fear.
And was there physiological impacts? Did it disrupt your sleep? Did you feel a sense of that smallness? We use the word like small, but for me, that comes across, clinically like that actually, I'm not saying you're depressed or not depressed, but that can, people come in going, I'm depressed. I go, what does that really mean though? In not the symptoms, but it's more like I can't express myself. So it's depressing. I feel like I have to be small. So I wonder if that was like some of your experience.
I felt kind of like confined or trapped, and then I wouldn't want to be active. So I guess depressed, um, wanting to share more about my ideas or wanting to connect more, but not feeling like I can.
Do you think your art it impacted your art?
I think my art was my only outlet.
Ah,
So in a positive way, I think it,
mhm.
helped fuel that.
Did your art change at all as you became more authentically yourself and more confident to express yourself? Did you see a change in the way you uh, created?
Yeah. Like, have you been here? Because it really has changed.
Mhm.
Recently, what I would use my art for before was kind of like a visual journal, right? Really thinking through all the little details versus now I feel more embodied and I want to just express what I'm feeling, whether it's through color or texture. So there's not a lot of like, like a portrait like that. That really isn't what um, I'm doing in my practice now. It's
Yeah,
more abstract or intuitive. Yeah.
yeah, I can see that and also imagine that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So just to add a little more to this topic here, this theme, what happens when someone meets their real self for the first time?
There's all kinds of responses. A lot. So I'll give you a few: grief,
Mm,
sorrow, and remorse. On one side, this feeling of sorrow that they weren't able to express it or they didn't know it, and but then on the other side, there's relief, there's joy, there's gratitude. It always ends up with like lots of crying, and the crying is expressing both gratitude and sadness for not having allowed that part of themselves to live fully or be seen or heard, sadness for that part of themselves being belittled or invalidated,
mm.
resentment, even
Oh, did we lose you? Oh no, Dr. Mike.
I'm there, I'm here, am
Okay,
I
okay,
here?
great. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So when people find their new selves or find their original self, their unique self, so many emotions come up. Like I said, resentment for how it was belittled and validated, grief for not having touched it, and then relief and joy and tons of gratitude.
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot, especially wanting to like release the anger for letting myself be that way for so long and just like no, no more, like I'm really like I'm ready to take on this return to myself and my true being.
Mhm.
It's a really powerful feeling.
Sometimes there's shame. One of my firefighters, it's in my book. I think he's in his 50s now, but he was like, I'm so embarrassed. He was 48 or 49 at the time. He's like, I'm so embarrassed. I've lived all these years not really knowing who I am. And now he's starting to find that and touch it and feel it. So there was some shame and
Sure.
embarrassment around it as well about not really having discovered that before. I also serve elders in their 70s and some in their 80s. And for the first time, some of them are touching what's core and unique to them. Imagine living 70 years and not really knowing how to express yourself or even knowing what was inside of you.
Yeah. No, it's witnessing it is sad, and you want to like bring it out of them, like come on, like shake it off, like wake up. Uh, but it's their own journey. You can't force them to. But yeah, absolutely, that must be so devastating. But hopefully they're taking the advantage of being in the now and living
Yes.
their.
Well, even whatever age you're at, it does. I'm
Yeah,
working. My mom's not my patient, but I do
yeah,
encourage my mom to be herself fully because she was she was kept very small. She was really damaged as a child and not allowed to really be herself in some ways. And so even at 76 now, she's expressing herself through art in a new way and through dance. She's doing belly dancing.
Oh, that's so great. Hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
fucking awesome. That's great. Well, awesome. The four domains of healing. This is something that really resonated with me from your book, Physiological, Psychological, Spiritual, and Ancestral. Can you talk a little bit about why these four and what they mean?
Yeah. So for everyone listening, when you think about what you can even take notes while listening, what do you want to heal in your life? And where do you want to grow? These are the kinds of standard question that I ask everybody. What needs healing and where do you want to grow? Because that's it could be unlimited. What I did was to, think about what domains can people focus on when they're answering that question, and what domains would capture as much as I can. What would capture? So the physiological, the body. So that's somatic and physiological. There's a difference. Physiology is the systems, the endocrine, the cardiovascular, our pulmonary. It's our skin and our hair. It's the weight we carry. Somatic is the emotional components kept in the body, where our traumas and memories are stored, where our psychological and emotional issues present themselves. So like for me, when I was going through my divorce, my belly was fucked up really bad. I had so much going on in my belly that it was physiological in nature, but it was also somatic. Like, I felt like I was being gut punched every single day. So we look at physiology and we look at somatic, our relationship to the body. And I ask people, where do you want to heal and how do you want to grow? So maybe there's physical concerns and maybe there's somatic concerns. So I asked them to start identifying. Maybe there's behaviors like I want to reduce my smoking and drinking. I want to really take better care through exercise. Okay, those are like strategies for caring for the body. That might be how you want to grow. But why are you doing those things in the first place? How do you want to heal what needs to be healed in the body as well? So that would be one domain, the body. The second domain is the mind, or the psychological domain, and that can be social. It could be relationships. It could be our beliefs and our values, the way we see ourselves, others in the world. So the components of the mind, maybe that has to do with intuition and wisdom. How do you want, what needs healing? So many of us carry I'm not good enough belief. I want to heal that belief. I don't want to feel like I'm not good enough. And how do I want to grow? I want to be supportive and encouraging to myself mentally. So that's how we might work with that domain and the psychological domain. The third domain is spiritual, which could be anything from your relationship to the divine or God or universe, relationship to dreams, visions, fantasies, spirits. Your relationship to earth and nature could fall under spirituality. Purpose and meaning all often fall under spirituality. So we're looking at that domain, and spirituality is broad. So people are telling me what it means to them. And many people, maybe who came out of religious backgrounds, don't want to have anything to do with spirituality. But the truth is, human beings are spiritual beings in some way, the way we connect to the greater. So it ends up most people do have some concept of spirituality, even if they're anti-religious.
Right.
And then the last domain is ancestors. We are our ancestors. We know through epigenetics, the science of epigenetics, how experience of our ancestors is encoded into DNA and passes through the lineage, and how behaviors of our grandparents affect our parents, which affect us. We know this to be true, so we want to bring in what needs healing in our ancestral line? Where has there been oppression and marginalization and trauma? Where are there resiliencies and strengths? We want to bring all that to the forefront because a lot of times in psychedelic therapy, our ancestors come forward in some way and speak to us or present themselves. They might ask for healing. They might ask for us to recognize them. So we want to start thinking about that because it shows up in therapy. And also, we are our ancestors, literally. I mean, down to the cellular or DNA, at least the DNA level. So, how would we want to work with that while we're doing medicine? I consider that.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you so much for breaking that down. I hope that was um, helpful for those that are tuning in here. I'm very curious about the ancestral part, right? As someone that's adopted, I don't know much
Mm-hmm.
about my genetic ancestors. I only know culturally my parents and their background.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what would you say or recommend as, a tool or a step towards getting closer with that side or digging deeper into figuring that part out?
Well, I'll start generically or big, and then I'd like to ask you some questions since this is Real Talk with Sam um, about you. All of us could do something called a cultural genogram. A genogram is like a family tree, but a cultural genogram really looks at, as much as we can find, the cultural context of our families. So if people are coming from Ireland, if I have Irish clients or clients with Irish ancestry, they might look back to the famine and see, how did the famine, the Great Famine in Ireland, impact their family in terms of.
Oh, I'm not sure what happened, but I'm not hearing you.
Am I there?
Yes.
Okay. Told me I'm making too many hand gestures. So
I
that's
don't
not
see any. You're good. Your hand's like down here. You're fine.
in my hand now.
I see your hands now.
It's like the hand gesture feature is on. I'm like, I'm a Jewish guy,
No, it's them saying hello.
Okay, so where did I get cut off?
um, the gene,
The
going
cultural
back to,
genogram.
yes, that thing. Yes.
Did you hear me talk about Ireland, like the Irish
You
ancestry?
said you talked about you had an Irish client and then nothing.
Okay, so if I had when I have Irish clients or clients of Irish ancestry, when we're starting to look at their lineage, we often might look at the impact of the Great Famine on their families. How did the Great Famine impact their relationship to money, to work, to food, and to substances? I come from a Jewish ancestry, and my grandparents were in the Holocaust. How does the Holocaust, being in the Holocaust, impact my sense of safety and trust in the world? How does it impact my sense of education? And so we're going to look behind us and we're going to start wondering how the experiences of our ancestors formed beliefs around that they have around themselves and the world. Now, if you're adopted, Sam, do you know your ethnicity, your origin?
Yeah. 49%. I did one of those 23andMe things before the truth came to light, but 49% Filipino, about 35% Persian, and then Bahraini is like 11%, and then a mix of some like 1 or 2% of other African heritage.
So while you might not have a chance to ask your parents, your birth parents, or your grandparents questions, you can certainly look at the history of the Philippines and Persia. You can look at when they would have been alive and what they might have gone through. What
Mm.
was it like to be a woman in the Philippines 2 generations ago? What was it like to be a man in Persia and Iran
Mhm.
2 generations ago? What were some things they might have faced? And are there indigenous traditions, indigenous cultural traditions out of Philippines and Persia that are showing up in your dreams, that are showing up in visions, that are showing up in the way you prefer one thing over another thing? You could look up the indigenous traditions because that's still part of your lineage, even if you grew up in America adopted.
Sure.
That's still in your DNA, literally in your hair, in your skin, in your in. So how does that show up in your life? I would be asking clients to do some of this work.
Gotcha. Yeah, the dreams, that's something really new for me. I used to not remember my dreams, or if I did remember. It was very brief after I woke up. But lately, like within this since 2025, they've been really vivid. And I've been curious to like kind of look deeper into what those represent or what they mean. Nothing about my heritage has come up yet, but I definitely will keep that in mind for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, for you, I would suggest like there might be a longing for you to return home. You might feel a longing in your life to return home, whatever that means. And that might be exploring those cultures, the foods, tastes, and smells. It might be going there sometime in your life, but it could also be reading the poetry or looking at the art that comes from Philippines and Persia and really sitting with it and feeling it out, even if you don't have contact with your birth parents or family. You
Right.
can the culture and see what it feels like inside. And for those listening who think they're white, there is no white. It's just not true.
Yeah.
Where ancestry from? Are they from Britain? Are they from North European countries? Um, don't use the word white. Look for where your ancestry comes from. Look at the culture and the impact of the culture on your life as it is now, because then you're going to get more in tune with who you really are and not with the mask of whiteness or the persona of whiteness. You're going to start identifying more with the indigenous or cultural pieces of your heritage that actually influence you today. And then you might actually feel more at home within yourself because you're identifying what's truer than just saying something like I'm white.
Oh no, that's an amazing tip. I think that's great advice. Do you feel like psychedelics would be a great or a tool that can help kind of make those connections a little bit easier?
Possibly with the right and making sure psychedelics are right for you or the people listening. It's not right for everybody for a variety of reasons. You have to have some intentionality. People who come to see me, I am often asking them to do some digging into their ancestry because some things may show up in session that might have context that we want to know about. So yes, it can come up naturally. You could see images and signs, symbols that you don't understand during the session. And so I'm taking notes. They might be like, oh, I see this sign, this image that has a cross with this thing. And I might say, draw it out for us. And then later, after their session, they could do image searching and look for, wow, that came from North England. And that has this pagan ritual. And I didn't even know. And then they start digging. And they're like, well, my family, this is something to do with my family. It's not always like that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying every journey presents that to us, but it does happen. And so when we're conscious about it, we take note of, and then we do some digging afterward.
Yeah. If I could share a quick story with that synchronicity or coincidence, I had flown to Tahiti to go to a tattoo festival where my Filipino tattoo tribe were going to represent our shop and do some Filipino dances. But they were representation from all the Pacific Islands, right? Tahiti, Samoa, Hawaii, Fiji, and everyone has their own tattoo style. I didn't know if I was going to get the traditional tap, and I hadn't received my marking yet. But towards the end of the trip, I decided, okay, if I'm going to get a tap, the bato, this is where I should do it, right? On the island at a festival. And so I went to visit with all the other islands to see if they had a symbol for love. I was at a point in my life where I felt like I was open and ready to receive love. I had just gone through another divorce. It was terrible. And then single for a long time, maybe like 4 or 5 years. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to let this in. I'm ready to accept love. Hawaii didn't have a symbol. The Philippines doesn't have a specific symbol. We have one for family. But Taiwan did, right? They had a whole row of different symbols for love. And so I decided to get, if you could see, but down here, these two triangles, solid triangles, and two outlines of smaller triangles, all facing each other, which represents the man and woman facing each other in harmony or unison. Anyway, so went through the whole process, got it tapped. Next thing I know, I'm coming back home, back to Dallas, and I'm walking through my hallway, And I don't know why I didn't make that association or tie, but in my hallway on one of my posters is the exact symbol that I just got tapped onto my chest, and it was just one of these kitschy little like home decor things, and it was like front and center. So yeah, I totally, like, when that connection happened, I was just like, oh my god. But so that what you just said really resonated because it definitely can happen.
Yeah, that's a synchronicity. We would call that in consciousness science or noetic sciences a synchronicity, something where two things that seem random actually are paired together. And many of us have synchronicities. The more we open our hearts and slow our minds, the more we're open to the potential of the mystery and of the universe presenting itself. These things start showing up all the time. So it's not surprising to me when things show up in psychedelic sessions that are true for their history, their family, or even their future. They might find a symbol or sign in a psychedelic journey that I have them draw or take note of. And some years later, something presents itself that actually came from that session that was showing itself from the future into the present moment.
That's incredible. Well, now that you bring up future, I do have that as one of the themes that I'd like to kind of discuss. Future self, building from the inside out. We don't just heal, we become.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, well, I have a couple questions for you, but after the questions, would you be open to doing a future self meditation? A quick.
It can't be super quick, but certainly we can definitely do that. I think the powerful tool.
Yeah, if there's time at the end, maybe.
I would love to do absolutely at the end. I think it's a powerful tool to have people see their future selves and have a conversation with them.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. We have the opportunity because of our imagination to see things beyond the logical. And it's great to have logic and reason, but that's one small way of knowing the bigger grand scene of the universe or ourselves. And we often limit ourselves to what we think, but imagination comes from a different part. It uses different parts of the brain. And it also, it's evoking a creativity that our rational mind doesn't. And so and that in psychedelics, it's much often we're granted that kind of imagination, right? You're seeing things that we would call hallucinations or something. But we can do that with meditation and access things that are well beyond what we think is our reality. And so our future self can present themselves and give us information how to get where we want to be going.
Right. Visualization or manifestation. So one of my first questions here, how does someone start forming a relationship with their future self?
There's a couple, I'm pausing because I think there's an important piece of willingness to let go of who we think we are. There's a willingness or a commitment to living our lives fully in the future. We have to start with a wanting to thrive. We have to start with a desire to enhance our lives and do it differently than what we've already done. For me, doing all of this work, I recognize that the past, the conditions of the past, if we don't release them, they're creating our future. We're not going to be doing anything differently. Maybe because of the way our past conditions us to relate to people, let's say, we might break up with the boyfriend or the girlfriend because we're like, I don't want this person anymore. They're not right for me. But if you don't untether from the conditions of the past, you're just going to find the same type of person with a different face. And if you don't like the job you're in, but you don't do the work of unconditioning from the past, you're going to quit your job and find the same kind of work you've always done with a different organization. I see that all the time. And then you end up in the same loops all the time. So we have to recognize that right now, our past is dictating our present and our future. We have to recognize that, and we have to determine not to do that. So there's a lot of work with unconditioning our past, okay? and on conditioning from the past. And then there's a drive, a willingness to do things differently, which means we can't be moved into the future by the same habits we've created our present. I just want to say it again. We can't move into the future with the same habits that are creating our present circumstances. We actually have to form new ways of thinking and being to create a future that was unimaginable to our past self. Is this all making sense?
No, totally. For me, what I'm hearing and how it's landing for me is when I got sober. Right. For a long time, I was in denial. I was like, oh, I'm highly functioning. I know how to do this. But just that relapse loop, right? I want to get sober. I don't know what to do with all this peace and this quiet, and like my body's like, I don't like this. I like chaos. I like, waking up hungover or whatever. But I finally, having gone through medicine, it was definitely a stepping stone, but not something that helped me with the follow through. Yeah. It was doing the internal work, the emotional intelligence, healing, forgiving, the somatic body work, that really kind of reminded me what it felt like to be in my body without being high or drunk.
Yeah.
And having to let go of those routines, those ways of being, those, even like friends, not being in those same circles, not showing up, just completely changing my behaviors and habits and routines. Mm-hmm.
I love all that, because that's part of the work, is letting go of those habits that are projecting into our present and future. Let me ask you a question. Did you have a vision of the Sam you were becoming? Did you have a vision in your mind or an idea of the Sam I'm going to be can tolerate emotions? She can tolerate peace. She can receive love. Did you see of her? Did you think of her? How did you know about her?
I knew of her because I felt her as like a peaceful warrior. Yeah. I would visualize. I do vision boards, and then I'd meditate, and I would see myself as, as it's like sober Sam, or like enjoying doing activities that are not requiring me to be fucked up.
Yeah.
And not feeling like this is boring or lame, and also having the community that also enjoys those activities. So I'm not just on my own trying to figure this out. I felt very loved and connected and supported when I saw myself as my new self. Yeah.
So that's what we would do. We would, all of us on this call, and anyone who's going to watch this video, we would start seeing our future self in their most wise, empowered, embodied way of being. We would see who surrounds them. We would see what they're doing, and we would feel how they feel to be in that, way of being. So future Mike is a different way than this dude is right now. And I see him and I'm like, damn, I want to get there. And he turns and looks at me and he says, well, you have to let go of this, and this is what you need to do. And I listen now. Like, I know enough when I encounter a vision of my future self and he's turning toward me and he tells me, hey, dude, if you want this, this is what you need to let go of. And here's what you need to start doing. Right. I actually pay attention, because like, that's exactly what it's going to take to do that. I'm going to start doing those things. Now, that is not easy. The work, giving up our drugs and our safety mechanisms and our coping mechanisms, that's super hard and it's scary. But the future self isn't using those. And that can be a reality for all of us on this call, that the future self really is empowered, embodied, confident, loving, encouraging, but they did something to get there. And that's what we start moving toward.
Yeah.
So I spend less time, I do spend time healing behind us, but I spend a lot more time going, how do you want to get there?
Yeah.
Let's put our attention there.
No, absolutely. Like feeling into what that new or that future person is, your actions will align to that. I feel like whatever I need to do to be future Sam, like I'm going to do those behaviors now. And then eventually I will feel like this isn't a forced routine or a forced way of being, it just is. It just is.
And there's no perfection here. None of us listening have to be our future self 100% and do all the things 100%.
Right.
That's a fallacy. My teacher once told me, I want you to do these practices 51% of the time, just a little more than half. So when we start getting a clear sense of our future behaviors, our ethics, and our thought patterns, when I start seeing that future self, or when my clients start seeing that, I say, could you just practice that half the time in the next week? Just half. You could fuck up for 50% of the time. You could not do it well. We're not going to judge you or shame you. I mean, could you do it 30%? Awesome. But let's shoot for like 51%. I love that number because it's just a little above half. And then naturally you start doing it on its own. 70%, 80% as the future unfolds, you're starting to be that part of you. And that's what I'm encouraging people to do. That's what I call future making.
Oh, I love that. I feel like 51% is attainable and it's not intimidating. And so if you're like, all right, I can do that. If I fuck it up this time or if it's not perfect, that's cool. I'm still working towards my goal.
Exactly. Because I'm not putting pressure on people to be perfect. That's how we're all messed up as we are. I am encouraging people to do it more than half the time and then just notice when they're doing it and notice when they're not doing it. And I tell you, people decide not to want to drink, and then they slow it down and then they drink, they feel the difference. They're like, it does not feel as good as when I was drinking all the time. I'm like, no, because now you're half the time not drinking. You feel the clarity, you feel the energy. And then you're putting alcohol in your body and you're like, oh, dude.
Yeah, I think it's the clarity for me that I'm so present now, and I want to like accomplish these goals, this new sense of purpose, this new way of being. Like I don't want to numb or disconnect anymore. I've spent so much time doing that. Like I'm ready to just like live it and feel it, even if it's anger or sorrow or whatever. Like, let's go. Like I feel ready to tackle it now.
Well, really, truly, hey, I was on drugs for a long time and I know numb. And I know avoiding my feelings. And my future self was a man who could be vulnerable and tender while strong. I thought strong was not feeling the emotions and being tough through it. But the truth is, strong is like tolerating grief, tolerating sorrow, tolerating hurt. And the irony is, the more I tolerated and welcomed those feelings, the more truly fully alive I felt, because I was also feeling joy and bliss and excitement, things that I was numbing out with the drugs or avoiding my feelings.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like understanding that is a part of life. Pain, sorrow, that is an opportunity for growth, but also for growth. And I think not wanting to turn that away or, sweep it under the rug, because it's just going to come up again. It's just going to resurface, whether in your body, in your life, in your decisions, like it doesn't go away.
And it's not supposed to go away. We're human beings and our bodies have sensations, and pain gives us a message. Pleasure gives us a message. Most people come in feeling dull and don't feel joy. And I'm like, they're like, I want to feel joy. And I say this on all the podcasts. Well, are you willing to feel grief or sorrow? They're like, no, I don't want to feel those things. I'm like, well, you're not getting joy then.
Yeah.
So,
you got to be open to taking the risk and understanding that you're going to be okay regardless, right? You've endured and with, gone through so much already, you will be fine.
More than fine. You're going to start feeling actual like vitality and vibrancy, life. You're going to be more than fine feeling grief. Actually, you feel grief and it hurts. It's like throwing up. It's like, it's terrible. Then you're like, oh, I feel so much better.
Yes. No, totally. Cool. Psychedelics and the body is the next theme that I have. I think a lot of people that are on my page have been curious about psychedelics, whether they're a veteran or not. Let's start there. Maybe if you could kind of talk to those that might be curious about the medicine, why they would consider this as an option, and then I can follow up some additional questions.
Sure. Well, first of all, the body is the only place we live. And if you're not in touch with it, you're not really feeling life. I said in the book, and I often say when I teach, it's like eating a Thai menu or eating a menu in a Thai restaurant. You're getting no flavor. You can't taste Thai food if you're eating a menu.
Oh.
Not being in your body is like that. Because even though there's sorrow and grief and pain in the body, that is where life expresses itself, and that's where we feel most alive. And so those of us who live in the thought bubble realm in just our minds, and we ignore our bodies or we get out of them, we dissociate, we're literally dissociating from life. And that is so depressing. So what we were just saying about emotions, it's the same thing for living in your body. The best pleasure, the best sensuality, the best flavors are in the body. And psychedelics have the potential of awakening the senses. So does meditation. So does going to Thailand and going into a market. If you've ever, any of you traveled overseas or wherever you're from, and you go to a market in some new place and you see pig heads and flies and you see flowers and eels and everything is so alive and bursting with smells and sounds. Psychedelics are like that. It's like going into a foreign marketplace, and everything can be overwhelming and overstimulating for sure, but it also turns you on. Most of us are living asleep or turned off or with the volume really down.
Yeah.
I want people to live with the volume turned up, with the senses awake and alive, because sex is better, food is better, music is better when your senses are awakened, and that needs the body. And so psychedelics often wake up the senses, and then creating a relationship to the body so we feel more alive. Isn't that what we're all doing here anyway? We want to feel more alive. Psychedelics can give us that experience.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely feeling more present, allowing the body to give you those feelings to be that compass for alignment, I think.
Yeah, let's speak to that. The body has wisdom in it. If I ask each of you a decision you have to make, all of us listening, if you had thought about a decision you're having to make in your life, most of us spend time in our minds ping-ponging back and forth between yes, no, maybe, I don't know, I'd like it, I don't like it. But if you drop into your body, which means your consciousness is in your body and you feel the sensations of your body, and you ask yourself, do I want to do this? And your body opens up and it's lit up with energy. Or if you ask yourself, do I want to do this? You ask your body and it shuts down, it becomes tight and constrictive. That's immediate wisdom. Your body's like, fuck yes or fuck no.
Absolutely.
So we want to have a relationship because there's so much wisdom in our body itself. It's going to tell you, this person I don't feel good being around this person. I feel great being around this person.
Yeah.
That's an amazing metric. Your body will tell you.
It's the intuitive side of you, right? Your discernment, whether it's for you or not. Yeah, absolutely. So I have here, what do people start to feel when they stop ignoring their body's truth?
Are you asking emotionally, or are you asking what do they feel sensationally?
Sensationally.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a great question, because again, people feel deadened or numbed or turned off or dull. When they start feeling the body's truth, it's vibrant, it's alive. It might be painful because the truth is painful sometimes. You might actually get stomach aches. Your throat might constrict, but it's telling you something. What it does is tells you something. And so the signal of truth, it rings like a bell. Usually truth is vibrant and like literally think about a bell ringing in space. You feel the vibrations. When you speak your truth, your body vibrates with the truth. It's incredible. And this is not just me saying this. This is all my clients in retreat saying, I felt the truth in my body like a bell or whatever they might use the metaphor, but it's that loud.
Yeah, I feel like I feel it in my gut or like sternum area when it feels like a no. When I'm not supposed to do it, it's like, but when I feel elated, I feel it all over my body, like light and like energetic. It's really quite amazing to like find it.
It is, we talk about it feels true. Now that's not a feeling, as far as we like know in psychology. But the truth is, true is a feeling. And each one of us listening, and you and me, when something we've felt or spoke is true, it's like, it's true. I know it's true. It feels true. And that true to me is a high frequency, very vibrational, expansive, light, strong feeling.
Yeah. The timing was, the very next question was, what do you mean when you say truth lives in the body? How does someone know they've hit it? Yeah.
There. That's how.
That's how. Why do so many of us lose touch with who we really are? And how do we start to come back?
Because I would say as kids, we start being shamed or conditioned out of it. If we're expressive or wild or primal, we're taught to be a certain way. Let's say, just for the sake of this conversation, quiet and obedient, or follow the rules. But I live in a state that's Mormon. Do you know how oppressive some of those beliefs are for women, girls, and for little boys? They are trained to go inside a very small, rigid box that has like spikes on the inside of it. Oh, you had a fantasy? You're sinful. Oh, you got sexual? You're sinful. Oh, you're expressing yourself?
Yeah.
And so now I'm working with adults who have grown up that way, and they are afraid in their 30s and 40s to express themselves because
that's so hard.
What's that?
Oh, I said that's got to be so tough.
It's awful.
Yeah.
And it's true for many of us, Sam. Like, I didn't grow up in that context, but I grew up in a certain context that at least I was able to express myself. I was given permission to be precocious or flamboyant or performer. And so as an adult, I don't feel bad about expressing that in myself. But for so many people, they were smushed down into small little packages instead of allowed to express themselves fully. And so our job now is to allow ourselves to express ourselves, dance, play, be wild in a way that's healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. In my background, my growing up, performative was welcomed, but it groomed me to only be that very flamboyant, charming, witty type of girl versus like I'm feeling sad or I need a hug or a kiss. Like no, like my mom would literally like my aunts came over like Sam, do the dance or like kind of like almost like a puppet. But yeah. Let's see here. We have a few more minutes left. Was there anything you wanted to touch on? Before I have some more questions, but just wanted to give you a chance.
Well, we wanted to chat real briefly about those awesome retreats for veterans and first responders because community is essential in healing. We can't do it alone. And it's so powerful when you're with other veterans or first responders who understand what you've been through and what it was like to be in those cultures. And then, we create such a space of safety that people can really be vulnerable. My retreats, I have you guys crying the first night. I just want that. I want you guys to have a space where you could actually be human and off the uniform and express yourself. And there's ways of doing that are healthy, and then there's forceful ways. And hopefully our retreats are, we provide a safe place for people to express themselves and build trust so that when they're doing medicine, they can really express themselves. And then after they're more vulnerable and truth-telling. And I don't know if you want to speak about those retreats. They're just beautiful.
Yeah, I was going to say the release or wanting to express myself under medicine during that whole experience at a retreat. I would say you were instrumental to my experience, that first retreat that we did during the psilocybin experience or journey. I felt like I was not allowing myself to really let go or like cry or yell. And I feel like I remember telling you that I wanted to. And you said, I wish you did. I wish you did just like scream. And so for the 5-MeO, I was like, okay, I'm going to let this rip. I don't care. Like I'm ready to, I don't care what they think or like I'm not going to embarrass myself kind of thing. And the fact that I was still judging myself in a safe space just lets me know like how many walls are up and how high those guards are. But that the medicine, I mean, it allowed me to like break down those walls. And that's why I love psychedelics so much, because I never really felt comfortable doing traditional talk therapy. But the medicine, they break those barriers down and you can face those traumas or those memories, um, in a safe environment. You're with a safe team. They know what they're doing. You know what you're doing. And so finally just letting myself cry or scream or whatever it is, I felt so much relief afterwards. Yeah.
Beautiful. I think there was a whole flock of birds that took off.
Like, okay, we'll give her a piece. But yeah, I just hope what I want for those that are listening and other veterans that might be, or first responders that may be interested in exploring medicine, just know that it's an option. There are a lot of amazing people that are working in this space that'll, treat you with respect and make sure that it's safe. And I know, a lot of grief or, maybe survivor's guilt or whatever it is that you're bringing to the table, they'll know how to handle it and you won't be alone. Know that others are going through the same thing. They may just not be comfortable sharing either, but know that deep down inside, a lot of us are experiencing the same type of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And for those listening who might be considering retreats, I mean, be very careful where you go and vet it and make sure you talk to people who've already gone. And not all retreats are built the same. Not all facilitators have the same skill set. And to be mindful of where you're going, and you got to do due diligence for yourself to protect yourself. So there are some really reputable organizations out there that care deeply and have solid professionals, and people who understand the history and the magic and the potency of these medicines.
Would you have any tips for somebody that might not know, like what questions to ask? They've never done medicine or any type of drug before.
Yeah, I mean, as a psychologist, I go towards as a clinical person, I go towards safety, right? What are your safety plans? Do I get a screening? Is there a medical? Is there a psychological screening? Because not everyone should be doing medicine. And
Right.
Organizations that take everyone equally and don't do those screenings, they can do a lot of harm. So it's like, do you have a prep plan? Do you have integration plan? Do I get coaching? Is this a one and done, or am I a part of a larger community?
Right.
How do you deal with medical crises if they arise? These are like safety oriented questions. Preparation and integration are more like process questions. Mm-hmm. And then I would ask questions. What's your policy around touch and sexuality? We don't want to cross those boundaries in our retreats. We want to make sure we have a real clear sense of ethics going on here. There are some retreats that cross so many boundaries and really end up not being safe or ethical. So right. You want what is your boundaries on touch and on sexuality? So these are some questions that I like providing for people who are interested in going to retreats.
Well, thank you for that. I think I've been lucky enough to go and work with very reputable organizations where I've felt safe. But knowing that they've been vetted, and that's something that others should consider or make sure that they do their due diligence and their homework. But yeah, Dr. Mike, I really appreciate the time. This was incredible. A wealth of knowledge. If there's anything else you want to leave for the audience, how can they get a hold of you? All that good stuff. If you want to say.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sam. It's always great being with you. And I love the realness, right? That's what we wanted between us. Let's just be real together. I'm not a doctor and you're someone who was on retreat. We're two human beings who care for our communities, and we're both doing the work inside, and then we're both sharing this on the outside. So I appreciate you so much, and you're so real. I can't wait to keep working with you. Do you have my book by any chance? I think I'll put it up.
Right here. Truth Medicine. Matches my outfit.
So please get the book if you're interested. It's deep and it's wide. It's integrative and comprehensive. You can follow me on Dr. Mike Boise, and then my website's michaelsapiro.com. But really, this is the heart. If you get this book, hopefully it'll touch you and inspire you all to live fully, because that's what I want for everyone.
Yeah, it's an amazing book. It's already helped me so much. It resonates with me with a lot of the topics that are in here. So feel free, go check it out, Truth Medicine. I'm going to be sharing this video on my pages. So if you weren't able to catch the whole thing, no problem. Don't worry. I'll be able to reshare this here with you guys soon. Thank you again, Dr. Mike, for the time and the wisdom. I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
All right. Thank you all. Take good care.
See ya.
Bye.